Jambo. Woo! Jambo Wana. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Nero experience with an X. I'm your host, Emperor Nero. And today I'll be talking to my amazing friend, Lin Loke, who started an amazing professional wellness brand. And today we're going to be talking about her incredible story, her career story, working in corporate, doing her own thing, transitioning, and just the experience of it. Lynn, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Nero. Super happy to be here.
Yes, so I'm going to just jump straight into
Yes.
it. So we worked together for 3 years, and we kind of left our corporate consulting jobs about a year ago, to around the same timeline.
Exactly.
But while I was preparing for this, I found out something I think I knew before when we first met. We actually went to the same university.
Oh, did we?
Yes, I went to UCL. I studied at UCL, University College London.
No, wait. What did you study?
I studied engineering.
Were we in the same department then?
No.
Because I was in the School of Architecture in the Bartlett.
Oh, the amazing Bartlett building. I was in the
Yes.
Robert building. the engineering.
Okay.
But I noticed we're there. We had like intercrossing timelines.
Interesting.
So I saw it and I was like, oh, wow. So that kind of brought me to my first question.
Yes.
What was UCL like for you?
Oh my gosh. UCL. I know this is not really a traditional answer, but UCL was, a lot of people, when they talk about the university experience, they talk about the collegiate feel and they're part of this big community
Yeah.
and they did the whole kumbaya and
Yeah.
everything. I didn't really have that. I felt like UCL was quite, for me, it was quite isolating. I think I only had classes on Monday and Tuesday. So Wednesday to
nice.
Sunday, I was completely free to do whatever I wanted. So I actually spent a lot of my university life exploring London and my life outside of UCL.
Nice.
Yeah, so, and it was cool because I think UCL gave me a lot of time and space to explore other hobbies like photography, music, myself, travel. And I used to do a bit of photography back in the day. I was a freelance photographer. So yeah, I UCL gave me a lot of space to do that, but UCL in its own, it's a fantastic university. I learned a lot by meeting all these really international people.
Yeah.
It's the most international university, in London. So I just loved, it was my first time, like 19 years old, fresh off the boat from Singapore. And I was like, wow, there's so many nationalities. I just loved meeting people there. And I just loved being in Central London because it was such a hub for industry people to come as well and give talks and do like recruitment events, career events.
Yeah.
So yeah, UCL to me was like, it gave me space, but also, the time I spent there was really built me a lot to become this very international person today.
Okay. So I like what you said about space because I think we don't talk about that enough. When I was at UCL, I had similar experience but different because of my course.
Yeah.
So I did engineering. So we were working all the time.
Yes.
If you're not working, you have labs, you have tutorials. So even first year, we were meant to be freshers and chilling. It was like working all the time. It was really annoying. But the thing I loved the most about UCL was just that community and how there were different courses. You knew you were around really smart, intelligent people or other students and very international as well. But no one really took themselves too seriously.
Yeah, it's true.
And
actually.
so it was more laid back than other top the universities in the UK.
Yeah, definitely.
So it was like everyone's doing interesting things. And then if you go to the student ref or wherever, the student club society, you would meet other people who are doing French and philosophy and architecture. So there was you could mix with other people. If you go to the Green Cafe, I just remembered now.
Yes.
Print Room Cafe.
Oh my gosh. Back in the day.
Yeah, Print Room Cafe. So I think for me, that was it. And then I always liked how it was in London.
Yeah.
It gave you a very like you're in a top world-class city and you can explore and you can see what bankers do and you can go to the shopping, go to Oxford Street, you can go to museums. So I always liked how it was in London. And then maybe something else I found fascinating were how there were a lot of interesting people who went to UCL. Like how Coldplay, they met in UCL.
Exactly. Apparently the BT Tower is, what's the song? Lights will guide.
I didn't. Oh, that makes
That's
a lot
the
of
song,
sense.
yeah.
Because that was always the thing in first year, where if you get lost, they say find the BT
BT
Tower.
Tower.
Find the BT Tower.
Yes.
Coldplay, Christopher Nolan as well.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't
that's
know
why
that.
he used it in was it the Batman film? He used the library, the main library, or
Oh,
Inception. There's one of them. He used the
I
library in UCL.
see. I
So
see.
I think for me, it was that was it, the space. So even though
Mm,
my experience was different because we're always working, it was that space to explore London,
mm,
meet other cool and amazing people, and it was just the right amount of laid back. Like you were working
yeah.
hard, but you just meet different people. There wasn't like,
Yes.
okay, we're just here. And then you have Sports Wednesdays where you get to like really go to the bar, just relax.
Exactly. Yeah.
And even the events, so even when I talked about earlier off camera about going to the Jazz Society, singing,
Exactly.
I felt like I could try out different things. And then within like a London, as opposed to feeling like I missed out because I didn't go to like a university town.
Yeah.
I liked
100%.
being in a world class city and in a world class university.
Yeah, and I agree with you about having that space to experiment because I think compared to being in a university in outside of London,
Yeah.
sure you have the kumbaya collegiate feel, but you might not have the city to explore like who you are because you're so young when you enter university. It's like 19,
Yeah.
20. It's all about exploration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And even when I was telling you how I used to do this London summer thing now for the last 3 years, and I would
Yeah.
go to new places in London. I was thinking about this last month. I realized that came from actually being at UCL, where I had a few friends who would just go to new places, new bars, new gallery. We'll meet a random person in A&F. They're getting people to model for some summer campaign.
Yeah,
Students
yeah.
are like, yeah, sign me up. I'm going to go
Exactly.
for it. So I think for me, that was where the exploring started.
Yes.
Okay, so when I was doing my research for this, I also found out you studied at UCL Project and Finance,
Yes.
but then you kind of pursued an exciting career where you did some stuff on real estate, and then you did Arup,
Exactly.
which seemed really interesting. So
Yeah.
digital transformation, what was that like? Like
Yeah.
almost straight out of UCL, straight out of university into working. What was that transition like?
Yes, so I'll talk you through my experience, all my internship experiences
Okay.
throughout my 3 years at UCL, 3 or 4 years actually. So we talked about space and the importance of having space to experiment.
Yeah.
And I never knew what I wanted to do, but I used every summer to work in a new profession. So my very first job, I was a building surveyor.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was going around London and also outside of London to survey buildings and writing up condition reports.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was interesting because I got to experience the architecture of the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was really nice. It was my first job experience and it was my first taste of what it's like to be in an office.
Yeah.
My first like corporate party,
Yeah.
learning about the goss in the office and things like that. So that was my first experience. Then I also, my second internship, I went to Myanmar, i.e.
Oh, wow.
Burma. And that was 2014. I worked in real estate investment, and that was the coolest job ever because I was helping a Singaporean company that was expanding into Myanmar at that time to look for properties and retail and commercial buildings to invest in.
Okay.
And the interesting thing about Myanmar is that they didn't really have an established banking system at that time. So they were doing their transactions all in cash.
Wow.
So on the day that you buy like a 20 million
Yeah.
office block, my gosh, the trucks come and they have all this cash and you have to weigh them.
Oh, wow.
So that was cool, and I got to experience Myanmar as well. And then I did a sandwich year, so I did a year out in industry where I worked as a project manager and in construction because I thought I wanted to work in construction. And a lot of people warned me at that time because they were like, "Oh my gosh, it's such a masculine industry. Like, you have to speak like them, you have to be like them." And to be honest, yeah, I kind of agree in hindsight. Like, it's a very, very masculine industry, and I don't know. I really love the experience, but I soon knew like 3 months into my 12-month placement, it was not for me. But that said, I did lots of cool things with that internship. I had to inspect the roof of Wembley Stadium.
Wait.
Yeah. So I actually have an abseiling license as well.
Oh,
I have to
wow.
like
Yeah,
abseil
yeah.
down buildings and stuff. And yeah, I got to, work on a lot of design phase of construction projects. So I learned a lot about the physical built environment that we live in. And so I have such an appreciation for like buildings and, yeah, cities that we live in. Yeah.
That's really cool. I also, my own interest, I've always been interested in like history and culture. anywhere I go. So I like how the UK, and like what we're saying about London, I like how London is a mix of old and new.
Yes.
There's new
love that.
buildings, but there's old buildings, and each building has its own story.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, when I was in university, after the first year of engineering, it was very theory. So that was something that was an issue I had. And I remember at the end of our first year, we did a course on something of entrepreneurship, and a professor made a statement. So engineers, we create wealth, and everybody's like, huh? It's just that sometimes we don't keep it. I was like, okay.
Oh, okay. What? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, that
does
always,
that
I always found that interesting. So
Yeah.
eventually, when it got to second year, I was like, I want to do something. So eventually, I did a year in industry as well.
You did.
I did a year in industry. At the time, I was really interested in cars, obsessed with cars, engines, Formula One, all that
Yeah.
good stuff. So I ended up getting a placement at Ford Motor Company.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually never written about this story.
Yeah.
So I got a placement at Ford Motor Company, working in a team for powertrains, engines,
love it.
fuel injection. So looking at parts that failed in the UK, in Europe,
Yeah.
and testing turbochargers. And there were a lot of good experiences. I got
Yeah.
to see the release of the first Mustang, almost in 50 years, first new brand. Made a lot of new friends in corporate as well.
Amazing.
But I liked taking that time out from studying to see the practical in industry and professionals. And yeah, I just got to explore my own interest. And I remember something my manager said. She was from Holland. She said at the starts of she was like, after doing this placement, you may not know what you want to do after your degree, but you'll probably find out what you don't want to do. So kind of like
Exactly.
elimination. And I remember thinking,
Exactly.
huh? But since then, it's been true. This was,
Yeah.
2013. And had an amazing time while I was doing it, because back then I used to also try stuff,
Yeah.
go for events. While I was doing it, I applied for some essay competition, and then I won with the Energy Institute of the UK to go to Canada for the World Petroleum Youth Forum. It's like once in 4 years, they bring young people. And that was amazing. I was fully sponsored. So I got to travel there, met a lot of people, and it was just incredible. And I think my placement and even that trip was the opportunity to step out of the usual bubble of studying
Yeah.
and try out something or get a new perspective.
Yeah.
And during that period, I also got to like get into all my interests, find new places. I did a lot of reading of different kinds of literature, Dostoevsky. I like just just really exposing myself to different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and then came back. So by the time I came back to my degree, I was very like clear. This is what I want to go and do. This is what's next. I was really clear of what I don't want. And I also knew how I wanted to apply engineering, as opposed to just the usual theory, your project, like, hey, this is how I want to do it in industry. So that was pretty good. So how was, for you, how was Arup?
Yes. And before that, yes, I think exploring earlier in your life or career wise and doing lots of different internships and having all these experiences, they're really good at helping you eliminate what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
But I always tell my interns this, it's so important to not only explore for elimination, but
Yeah.
also explore to build soft skills,
Yeah,
build
yeah.
character. And a lot of times people get hired not just because they're technically brilliant, but also for some reason you play golf, the boss plays golf, and it's the last chit chat before
Yeah.
they give you the final offer. So I think it's so important to really take those early years of your career to explore and then meet all these amazing people and friends. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said about soft skills. Something I've realized is business, and I guess I can also say life, is really about relationships and
Yeah.
people. And so being able to, people skills, being able to get on with people, being able to communicate, being able to work in a team, being able to understand social cues and expectations and understand the
Exactly.
games and the office politics. I think it does help. Even just
does.
navigating your world, because
Yeah.
sometimes you can not realize all these things going on, and
yeah.
you
So true.
you think it's just, I'm just gonna work harder, and it's like, no, it's really about being at the right place at the right time,
Exactly.
doing the right thing. But yeah,
Yes.
I do agree. I think that was something for me, even in hindsight, like there was something my manager once said. I was trying to get something from an engineer who was like the chief engineer at Ford for this particular component. He used to come from Germany, and what I had written to him before, he was just like, yeah, I'm too busy. He told my manager's manager to tell my manager that he's too busy, that why is this intern always writing to him?
Yeah.
Because I was asking for something. And then a big lesson I learned then was about rapport building.
Mm-hmm.
So the next time around when I wanted to do it, I had called him on the phone to chat.
Yeah.
How's your weekend? What do you get up to? Oh, I went fishing. Oh, did you catch anything? Like, oh, you know.
I have
and
to
then,
say, you're really good at rapport building. Yeah.
maybe this is where I learned it.
Yeah.
And then I would then go with like my research. Hey, I was asking about this component because of this component because we saw failure of 30% in this market. So to kind of say why I'm asking it, why it's important, and then that whole thing of going to meet the person physically, like when you email people, there are higher barriers emailing people, calling people, and then face to face. There's something about just being in the same space and building rapport that it just compounds the interaction as opposed to if you're on the phone or you're on Slack.
100%.
So I think that was a big one where eventually once you get that rapport building and stakeholder buy-in, it's like everything
Locked
just works.
in.
You're just on the same team.
100%.
You're just playing on the same team. So I think that was a big one I took and then from that to all my experiences even to now.
Yes.
So yeah, you were about to tell me
Agree.
about Arup.
Yes, and we can talk a little bit more about that later because that's exactly what I teach my interns as well, the importance of in-person. But yes, I'll tell you about Arup. I spent my first 5 years in Arup. I wasn't planning to stay so long. I guess similar to other millennials at the time, I
Yeah.
just wanted to jump around and have different experiences. But I'm really glad the best thing that came out of getting my visa in the UK
Yeah.
is that I needed to stay in a company for 5 years.
Yeah.
My tier 2 visa, so I got my indefinite leave to remain, which is amazing.
Nice.
So I spent 5 years in Arup. I spent my first 2 years in M&A infrastructure, where I did DDs for 2 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I was helping infrastructure investors buy and sell infrastructure assets, like anything from train stations to airports to roads to university portfolios. So anything, like physical infrastructure. So those 2 years were really good because it gave me a lot of commercial acumen, you
Okay.
know, like understanding what investors look for, understanding how to do a business plan, how to do financial modeling, all the shortcuts on Excel. And 2 years later, I wanted to try something else. And at that time, an amazing person called Hael Kobayashi had just joined Arup. He came from a background of film and animation, and he was actually the assistant producer for what's his name? George Lucas for Star Wars,
wow.
and he did Happy Feet as well and Terminator 2. And I really wanted to work with him. So he came into Arup to lead digital transformation. And they were looking for a director. And at that time, I was probably like grade 2, which is basically a graduate role.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to apply for this role. Yeah. Because I really wanted to work with him. And then I said, please, like, can you take me into your team? I know I'm not a director, but I will do my best job. And then he met me for coffee. He's like, you're, you know, this is like a director job, right? I was like, yes, but I'll do my best. You know, like playing that card. And he was so kind. Like it was really like one of the first times in my career, especially as such a junior person in my company, where someone actually looked me in the eye and asked me about my hobbies, what I want to do, my strengths, my passions, you know, my goals. And instantly I knew that he was going to be such an amazing mentor to me.
Yeah.
And so I jumped into that team. He actually created a role for me. And then I spent the next 3 years of my time in Arup in the digital transformation team. And that was incredible. I was at the forefront of digital transformation at that time before it became a buzzword.
Yeah.
So I was actually working with like, you know, software engineers and AIs doing like the first NLP products, you know. And then I led a lot of digital programs like the UX program, so helping everyone in the firm, not just designers, upskill in UX. I did something called Innovation Labs. So, you know, we did different hubs across all the different offices, global offices in Arup. So
is that like a venture studio model?
It's kind of like venture studio, i.e., it's trying to bring innovation to the rest of the firm.
Yeah.
And equipping people with, you know, the understanding of agile, OKRs, product. So that was like back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it was so cool. You know, I was so early in my career, but I got to go to like Canada and Sydney and Berlin and Hong Kong and Singapore and Penang, which my dad's hometown.
Wow.
In Malaysia, to run all these programs. So yeah, I loved Arup. It really shaped me like so much, and yeah, I'm grateful to them for like starting, for giving me that foundation for my career. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
cool.
It's, yeah, there's so many layers there to
Yeah.
unpack. I think so. When I was at university, I knew of Arup because they also had, if I'm not mistaken, this professional. It was founded by someone. He had this professional Arup book they gave to every employee. It was known
Yeah.
for being very professional, very international projects as well.
Yes.
So, because I had a few friends who worked there, something you said I think is really vital is the importance of mentors, and also the importance of your first job,
Yeah, I think
and
so.
how it can set the stage, the foundation, and the things you learn. It almost sets the foundation for what you build. And it seems from all the work you've done things almost beyond what your level is meant to be. And they've also been quite international. And that international exposure has kind of given you like a wide view to kind of see everything, try everything in different markets, and then you can zoom into where your interests lie.
I love that you just played back these common themes in my career, and international is definitely one of them. So I love that you picked up on it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think for me it was, I see a lot of similarities. So even when you talked of coming from Singapore,
Yeah.
it was the same way I came from Nigeria to study, went to boarding school, some 550-year-old boarding school,
Right.
in the country, and then came to university in London, and then went to work at an American company. So when I was at Ford, it was very, very American, like the culture, and afterwards went to this conference, World Petroleum Youth Forum in Canada. And so for me, it was just those different places taking you out of the usual UK, London bubble or mindset or way of thinking. And then afterwards, I moved back to Nigeria. So I think for me, that is where I can see how it was the same thing for me, like the exposure, having mentors, how it really shapes your worldview, or expands your worldview beyond just the normal, this is what I studied, this is the job I do.
100%.
So you did that, and then you made a pivot to consulting.
Exactly. I think after 5 years in Arup, I wanted a challenge. I also realized that I didn't want to pivot. I didn't want to pigeonhole myself within the built environment industry.
Yeah.
I think I felt quite comfortable there, and I saw my linear career pathway flash before my eyes, and I was like, no, the free spirit in me is like, get out. Like, I'm not ready to like commit to like
Yeah.
one industry for the rest of my life. So I was like, why not? I apply to management consulting, where I'm exposed to so many different industries.
Yeah.
And also I'm Singaporean, right? So like we are like so, we love a good challenge.
Okay.
And I had no exposure to case studies, or I don't know. I had, some people spend years preparing for
Yeah.
MBB. I had no idea what a case study was. And so I started joining all these Facebook groups. This is back in the day.
Yeah.
I joined all these Facebook groups, and I started doing casing with random people all
Yeah.
around the world. And then, I was like really lucky to land the job. And then I started my two and a half year career in McKinsey.
Nice.
Yes.
And so there was something you said about, okay, before I talk on that, the first thing you said about seeing your career flash before. So when I really liked that I did that placement year. I really liked seeing corporates and seeing people who were working engineers and say, hey, it was like yesterday I joined and I've been here for 27 years. So I was like, oh my God, 27 years and yesterday. And then I met other people who worked or who then got into Formula One. And that is a very strong culture. Obviously, the new film that just came out, where if you're there, you only want to be there, and you're working 8 days a week and you're on the team and you're measuring everything. And I realized at some point I did engineering, specifically mechanical engineering, not to focus, but to be as wide as possible.
For
Like
sure.
generalized. I like the freedom of being able to try things, like follow my interest. So when I came back, that was something I realized, that I didn't want to do engineering just to go and do manufacturing, go and do planes, go and do engines, go and do cars, go and do power. I wanted to be able to do anything. So at the ending, but something amazing happened. I should say this.
Yes.
While I was doing the placement, just before I left, I'll never forget, because I was also working on my research on engineering and my research on cavitation in fuel injector nozzles. Just randomly remembered
Very,
it.
very niche.
Yeah, very, very niche. But the beauty was I used to go to the Ford library. I had one day a week, Thursday. I used to time. And I would go there and there'll be all these car books of the car designs from the 1920s. But there was a magazine by Harvard Business Review on the lean startup method. And I remember that was the first time I saw the lean startup, and then just like, oh my god, there's a method to do startup. That was what just changed it for me.
Yes.
Like, and I remember reading it, studying it, and asking the librarian, "Can I keep this copy?" It was like 4 months old, and it was like, "Yeah, go for it." And I was like, read everything that there's a method of building it, business model, canvas, lean startup thinking,
Exactly.
and then I even started reading the history of that, which was from the Toyota manufacturing, the lean manufacturing method. So when I came back to university to finish my degree, I was thinking about, hey, I started thinking a lot about startup and entrepreneurship to solve problems. So even before I finished my degree, I and a friend did a startup where we wanted to put a telecom network in the underground.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not something you do every day, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So we came up. We actually worked on this. Came up with a whole business model. We even got an expert who at the time was working on 5G. This was when 3G was the thing. He was like a top professor researcher, and we came up with a technology model and a business model. Long story short, we then met the regulators or the operators for the underground, and they were like, "Yeah, this is a good idea, blah blah blah, but we don't want to basically work as a student startup." So I then said, "Hey, I'm not doing a startup again after I finished my degree." And then 4 weeks later, I moved back to Nigeria, and 4 weeks later, I was doing a startup. I started a new startup.
Oh, you did.
So, but coming back to what you said on seeing your career, seeing your life flash before your eyes,
Yeah.
I think that was it for me, and just realizing that hey, you want to be able to try different things and keep it
Yeah.
interesting, keep it fun. Okay, so
I guess it's not for everyone. Some people love the certainty of knowing what they're going to do tomorrow, next
Yeah.
week, next year, next lifetime. But I think especially because I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do for all my life.
yeah,
I think it's good if you know what you want to do, and knowing and seeing that life flash in front of you.
yeah.
But yeah, I knew I didn't want to be in corporate for the rest of my life. Nothing wrong with corporate, just more of like I feel like I had all this creative energy and
Yeah.
and a lot of that, sensitivity that is not necessarily appreciated in corporate, and I wanted that space to express that, and that's why I found it with Nuwa. But
Yeah, which brings me to my next question.
Yes.
So you went from corporate, you left corporate last year, and around the same time we left corporate, and then you founded Nuwa.
Exactly.
And for those who don't know, what is Nuwa?
Nuwa is my non-human child.
Okay, I like that. Okay.
Nuwa is, well, I'm in my early 30s now, and yeah, everyone's having children, and my version is Nuwa. And I guess, okay, so Nuwa is a wellness brand that I created. I had the idea to start this brand a year ago. So literally 14 months ago, I came up with this idea to, start a brand inspired by the Chinese mythological goddess called Nuwa.
Okay.
Yes. So Nuwa, she is kind of like the Adam and Eve of China.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she created the first human beings that walked the earth, but she is a symbol of empathy, compassion, and healing.
Okay.
So when I came up with the name Nuwa for the brand, I was like, I'm trademarking this. So yeah, and I think these are the values that really embody my wellness brand:
Yeah.
compassion, healing, and compassion, healing, protection.
Okay.
And a lot of empathy. So I started this brand 14 months ago. That's when I had the idea, but I actually came up with the idea for the product first.
Ah.
Yes. So when I was working in management consulting, as you know, life was super hectic,
Intense.
so intense. We're working crazy hours, sometimes like up to 20 hours a day. Now I look back and I don't know how it was possible, but I remember so many days just pushing through and, taking a lot of coffee, like 5-6 cups of
Yeah,
coffee
yeah.
just to get through. We'll hang up by the coffee machine and like just buzzing for the next coffee machine coffee. And every day at 2 p.m. I go for my usual like cake at the cafe just to
Yeah.
get the sugar high. Yeah, I was just living minute to minute through a sugar burst, caffeine burst. And then weekends just completely depleted and drained. And yeah, it was like there are so many moments where I was just like, my God, how am I gonna like how is anyone doing this? This is crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and like working on holidays as well. And yeah, I mean burnout was super common. I burnt out a lot. Not just in MBB, not just in management
Yeah,
consulting, but
just
even
generally,
throughout my life. And a lot of the times, it's not just the hours that you spend at work, but a lot of the times, burnout also comes from doing work that doesn't feel aligned with you.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
We have to pause. We have to pause.
Yeah.
You have to say it again. You have to say that again.
Yes. I think burnout sometimes also originates from when you don't do work that feels aligned with you.
I saw something almost very similar to that statement. I can't remember where I read this yesterday. And he said something where he almost said you're doing work you don't deeply care about. There was a way he framed it.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, is that why? Because,
Yeah.
and the idea was if there's something that is meaningful for you, you want to keep doing it. That's when you hear people say, oh, yeah, it felt like play. This is where, I can't believe people pay me to do this.
So
What I would do
true.
in my free time. So I think there's a lot there.
So true. So true. And, when, back in the day, I would look at all these influencers being like, look for a job that pays you for what you love. And I'm like, I'm from Singapore. I don't have that luxury. I was not brought up that way. My dad told me money and interest is separate. Earn money
To chase it.
earn money to chase your interests. So that's how I was brought up. But I was like, this is impossible. But I finally feel like starting this brand now, even though it's super tough, the wordplay that you use is super good because there are many days where I'm actually playing.
Yeah.
Like today I was creating TikToks. I know I'm a millennial trying to go on TikTok, but yes, I'm on TikTok. And, creating content or even like doing in-person events. And it's playful. It's fun. Yeah.
Okay, so
But going back to burnout, I mean, that lifestyle was just super intense. And I think, yes, there were many weeks where I was like, yes, I'm absolutely crushing it because it's a project I like, it's a team that I like. But the reality is sometimes you also work with people that maybe, you don't really vibe with or, the project's not really aligned with you for whatever reason, industry or the type of project it is. And I think, especially as someone like me who is deeply sensitive, deeply empathetic.
yeah.
I think there's something called empathy burnout. And I felt like I was just burning out a lot, just looking out for a lot of other people on the team. But also like, constantly questioning myself as well. Just constantly asking myself like, is this what I want to do? And so anyway, there was a lot going through my mind. And then, also the long hours, it was just hard to keep up at some point, especially when I found it so hard to take a proper holiday or a proper break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think from what I like how you linked, okay, this is burnout. I'm doing something that is not fully in line with my calling. And then you left, you then came up with the name of the brand and the product first. I thought that's interesting.
Exactly.
Now I'm curious how you went from name, trademark, product to, because I looked at, you did a really good thing on your Instagram when you talked about the steps over 9 months, which I thought was good. How you went from that to research and then the first, speaking to an expert after the research or design. How did you go from name, products and then research and speaking to
An expert. Yeah, for sure. So just a quick one on the product. So my experiences then inspired the product that I wanted to launch, which are productivity supplements that help with brain fog, stress, and energy.
Yeah.
And obviously that was inspired by, my 10 years of my corporate career.
Yeah.
Because later on in my career, I discovered these supplements that actually really, really helped me. And then I was that person in the team before every team kickoff distributing supplements. If people come into work and they are not feeling great, I'm like, okay, here's some like vitamin B. They're like, oh, restless, can't sleep. Okay, here's some magnesium. If they're not feeling, they have brain fog. I'm like, okay, here's some lion's mane. So I already kind of like experimented a little bit, which is how I came up with the product.
Yeah.
And so when I decided to leave, I was like, and I've always wanted to start my own thing. I always knew that I wanted to create something.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I should just create something where I know people need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It made so much sense to me. And so in those 9 months of coming up with Nuwa, the brand and the product, I tapped into a lot of my venture building experience. So my background's in venture building. I built a lot of like digital products. So, the theory of building a product is research, and then you create your MVP. Then you do your user testing.
You get feedback from user testing.
Exactly.
Then you iterate.
And then you do some surveys. Then you iterate again.
And focus groups.
I literally did all of that, and launched. Then after launch, get feedback. So yes, I was following that very theoretical framework, which helped me to get started, right?
Okay,
yes.
So just something there. And this is why I liked the video when you did on your Instagram. This was what I did in the 9 months. It felt like you followed the theory or the framework in a linear way. But then I could see how that made sense for you because you were then leveraging all your past experience.
Yeah.
Like especially like the first thing you said, the venture studio experience, the design experience, working with designers.
Yeah.
Even when you were showing how, which is something we'll come to a bit later, like designing the packaging and choosing the tea bag. So okay,
yes.
before we get there, I'm also curious about the philosophy of East meets West, and even how that reflects in the ingredients. When you said, hey, I'm using ginseng,
ginkgo.
Yes, and I'm trying to remember the other name.
Lion's mane.
Yes.
Reishi
And then I'm
mushroom.
doing that with vitamin B, with magnesium. So I'm curious how, I know you got the name, but that concept of East meets West.
Yes. So East meets West is a reflection of my heritage of growing up in Singapore and then moving to London later in my life. Singapore, I think, is a very cosmopolitan city that is very rooted in our Asian traditions, but it's also a very modern city that is also very Western. It's a very international city. We depend on foreign trade for survival and our GDP. So East and West means to me not just blending, in terms of healthcare, not just, the latest cutting edge scientific research, but also holistic practices and rituals like meditation, breath work, yoga. Not just, pills and medication and surgery, but also preventative health. So fitness, wellness, diet. Then East and West also means, a lot of the traditions that we celebrate, so for example, Nuwa is a name of a Chinese goddess, right? It doesn't get more Asian than that. But, Nuwa contextualized for a Western audience. So, we're using we're doing like corporate memes and or bright orange color with a very like Western messaging. So that is the East and West for my brand.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so it seems, and just again to look at how you went through the steps, so it seems like you brought the high philosophy, East West, Singapore, Chinese, and the West being the West.
Yes.
And then you brought that into the philosophy, but you also brought that into the product, and now you did this testing. How did you come up with the packaging, specifically around the tea bag?
Yes. So when I was doing research, and obviously MBB has trained me well to do a competitor research before, my nice little like SWOT analysis and everything.
What is a SWOT analysis?
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
like classic business framework stuff. When I did research, I looked into, first of all, what kind of product I wanted to launch.
Yeah.
I initially wanted to do herbal remedies, but then I realized there's a lot of regulation around that. And then I was like, I want something that can help me go to market very, very quickly.
Okay.
What can I do? And then I saw food supplements. And that's how I decided on the product. And when I decided on the product, I then started to do research on what's in the market and what's in the UK, what's on the shelves.
Yeah.
And every supplement brand, I would say 99% of supplement brands, they would sell supplements in bottles.
Yeah.
And I remember back in the day when I was working in consulting, I didn't have time to go to my kitchen and open 5 bottles.
Bottles. Yeah.
Yeah, and like open this, because I'm already late for my meeting.
Yeah.
And then sometimes like, the bottles I would like knock it over and,
Yeah.
I didn't have time to open up, the 5 or 6 bottles that I had because I take about 5 to 7 capsules a day to help me get through very, very difficult days, very challenging work days. So I was like, okay, I don't want to go with bottles. I want a prepackaged solution. What can I
Okay.
do? I looked internationally, and a lot of very successful brands, supplement brands in other countries, they actually prepackage supplements in a sachet or a biodegradable sachet. And I didn't, no one is really doing this in the UK. Some brands, but, they're charging like crazy amounts, like close to £100 for
Yeah.
that kind of product. So I was like, hey, this is an opportunity. So I not only, designed the packaging to be pre-packed within sachets, so 4 capsules within a sachet. But then I took some advice from some founders who also started a brand a year ago to say that one of their biggest pain points was organizing redelivery of packages that did not, that the customer did not receive.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to manually
Yeah.
organize redeliveries. So then I thought, mailer boxes and subscription boxes are super popular right now.
Yeah.
So I took the subscription box idea, I took the prepackaged idea, and, I took my concept of, what I needed as a high performer working a crazy job, and I
Yeah.
blended it all together. And then I put it all together into that beautiful orange box called Nuwa.
Yeah, it is
Yes.
beautiful. I like how it looks, and I liked seeing the video of how you designed it and it came out. And even when
Yeah.
you did the survey online on Instagram on which colors people prefer.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good, and I love seeing you go through like the different teas. Like, this is a tea box. This is how we try.
Exactly.
Okay, 2 more questions specifically on that process. One about finding a manufacturing partner in Dorset, and then the second one about launch.
Yes, finding a manufacturer. So I am a corporate. My background is in corporate, right? I have no idea how to make. I don't want to sound bad, but I have no idea how to convert that strategy into execution
Yeah.
because I can only do a desktop search, but I have never executed like a business plan in real B2C consumer life before.
Yeah.
So, interestingly, in my first month of starting Nuwa, I created all these business plans and I did my Temsemsom market sizing and I did all these beautiful things. And I came up with a manufacturer strategy and things like that. And then 1.5 months later, I was like, okay, what do I do
What do
now?
you do next?
I've got my strategy, but like, what do I do? And my friends were really good. They were like, Lin, just pick up the phone and like just start making calls. Like, what the hell? It's not that difficult. So I started like literally DMing everyone that I knew who was like remotely close to the idea of health and well-being.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do I do? Where do I get started? And people then start to, say, hey, you should speak to this person,
Yeah.
speak to this person. And yeah, in my first 2 months of my business, all I did was have phone calls and following up with
Yeah.
people over phone call. Hey, Nero passed me your contact.
Yeah.
I heard you know a thing or two about supplements. What should I do? Who can I look for? Manufacturer, like any recommendations? So I did a lot of like warm leads, like
Yeah.
follow up. But I also went to a lot of exhibitions. And the UK is really good. I mean, we live in London. That is one of the most beautiful things about London. There's so many exhibitions and trade fairs and in-person events to bring people in the industry together.
Yeah.
So I started going for a lot of trade fairs and exhibitions that brought suppliers together. And actually, interestingly, that's where I met my packaging supplier. And then my manufacturer I met through someone at the trade fair who introduced me to someone who introduced me to my supplier. So
Wow. It's interesting how much you can get done by picking the phone and asking people questions. And how
True.
by the time you do that, by the time you talk to 10, 20 people, you're almost like at the elimination thing we said. You start with a wide funnel, and now you're like reducing it. Okay, this is the person, this is the top 3. And by the time you go through that for a month, 2 months, you're almost becoming a mini expert
exactly.
in the industry. It's interesting how you can quickly do that. And once you also show intent, like you tell your friends or you tell your network, and they see you're interested, you're following up, and they refer you to other people.
Exactly.
It's interesting how much you can get done by picking up the phone and speaking to people.
100%. To your point of being a mini expert in 2 weeks, that is so true, because I think a lot of people are scared of starting a business because they usually feel scared of what they don't know.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I was like, how am I going to do this? But you must commit to calling people, and suddenly a lot of your unknowns and your known unknowns become known knowns.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Yeah, no, it's good.
digest that for a second.
Yeah, let's just take it in, a lot of your
Yes.
okay, so I had a similar thing where, so after I did try to do startup, and then I moved to Nigeria and ended up doing this new startup. The new startup was in I don't think I've actually ever told you this. The new startup was in private jets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What about private jets? Yeah.
It was an Uber for private jets. It was called
Really?
Jetseta. Yeah, I don't think we
Wow.
ever had this conversation.
No.
Actually, I don't think I ever had this conversation with anybody.
With anybody.
I prefer.
Let's hear about it. Yeah.
Why I'm laughing is I feel like I started my newsletter to talk about this 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I wrote about everything but this. This was when I moved back to Nigeria. There was, at the time, there were not enough flights across Nigeria and across Africa, across West Africa. It's a bit better now compared to almost 10 years ago. But then during when there was the boom time of oil prices were really high, a lot of companies, especially oil executives, had bought jets. But now there was these jets, they needed to spend a lot to maintain them every year, almost $1 million. So it was like, how can we take this kind of like Uber and solve a gap, obviously, for a high clientele, but instead of an executive just flying a jet empty or the jet having to go somewhere and come back empty, why don't we put some people there? So I was lucky, went to Nigeria, met the founders who were doing this. They gave me the proposal, and then my energy was like, yeah, I can do anything. Let's go from the proposal.
Let's go.
Like literally, let's go. And I remember from the proposal doing, again, what you said, doing the research, researching, maybe engineering helped as well, researching how do we do the app, researching the product, researching everything. You just Google and you learn, and researching everything globally, everything in Nigeria, everything, who has the jets, where, like, just everything.
Yeah.
Speaking to everyone I could speak to. And I remember at some point, okay, we've done the app. I'd signed up for, so I went, okay, before I then needed to find planes. And I signed up to go to one of, like, you went to the trade fair, like one of the business aviation conferences in Lagos, Nigeria, NABC, Nigeria Business Aviation. And we're there, so all the operators were there. So I remember just being with all these people that own these expensive assets, $50 million jets, $60 million, and at some point going to introduce them, this is my business card, this is what I want to do. And you now have to explain it to them in a way that they don't feel like you're trying to take their business.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, again, on that thing we said of talking to people and becoming a mini expert, is the more you talk to from the first person, when you go to the second person, you have a bit more information. So you're iterating your pitch.
Yeah.
You're iterating your elevator pitch.
It's
like,
true.
So this is what we do. Here, what's the valuable thing they want to hear? It's like, okay, the valuable thing is I'll make you more money. I'll get your jet flying more.
Exactly.
Like get to their interest, human incentive.
Yes.
And I remember going to that in Lagos because we were based in the capital, Abuja, and then going to do that in Lagos, and then going back, and I had like 3 operators we had signed up to, and we're like, the app is coming up in this day. And then my MVP, this is all coming back now, my MVP was a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
Like this is what it will look like, showing people would this work, and then they'll ask about the numbers, they'll ask how it will work. And I remember doing it. We did it. We built the app. We did the coming soon. I even did a marketing. Yeah, this is coming back now. I even did like a photo shoot. I did a photo shoot.
Wow.
I got models. I did different campaigns in the photo shoot, a wedding campaign, a
Wow.
newlywed, a group of friends. Yeah, it was.
We need to see photos for that.
You
Yeah.
need to see. I need.
I'm sure it's
I hired
lush.
and what was funny. Sorry, two things. One is I remember. The people who I was doing testing for the photo shoot. I'm just telling them, yeah, come to the office, and then this is what we're going to do. And then when I was doing it, I had like a really strong English accent. And a lot of people, you know, when people are hearing you and they don't entirely believe it.
Yeah.
And I would say, okay, this is what we're going to do on the day. We'll take some pictures and we'll go to it. And so I remember the day when we had it, I even did like a guide. This is the plan for the day. This is everyone's slot. I remember when we got to the airport in the capital, Abuja, and then there's like a private jet wing. And in the office we got at the airport, I got like a makeup artist and everybody. Like
Wow.
I went in.
Wow.
And I remember they see the makeup artist. And I remember I was in the car with a group of them because we got a car driver. I even rented a limo that would take you from the tarmac to the plane. And it was when we got through the executive lounge and they came out and you see all the planes in the capital. And that's where they really believed it. And at the ending, we got to the plane. We did a photo shoot. We even bought drinks, champagne, blah, blah, blah. And the pilot too, he was excited. He put on the plane and everything. And I remember a statement one of them said before we got off the plane, because the idea was this campaign of a group of friends, girlfriends. They've been working hard. It's Friday evening.
Yeah.
They want to leave the capital, fly 1 hour to Lagos, party, and come back. So that was the campaign.
Right.
And I just remember at the end of the campaign, it was time for them to come off and we'll have the next one. And one of them said, let's just go. Like, let's close the plane. Let's just go wherever.
Yeah.
So that was it. But here was the thing. So did the campaign, did everything, released the app, you do all the hype.
Yeah.
We're going to do this referral, and nothing happens. Like silence. Nothing happens. We have an app where like nothing happens.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the picking up the phone, the sales, everything comes in. And
Yeah.
I just remember like pitching, sending our letters to everybody.
Yeah.
But which is just another story. When I then went to Lagos again and I was speaking to people, I then went to the golf club, like all the wealthy people play.
Yeah.
And then when I went there, again with my card, my business card, I had no fear. Like, hey, this is my company, this is what we do, what we do. And then I found out they were doing this exclusive golf tournament in somewhere in Nigeria, southwest in Nigeria, Biokuta. It's like 2.5 hours, 3 hours drive from Lagos. Actually, slightly less, 2.5 hours. So I went to this thing with all these wealthy guys with the security, the car.
Yeah.
I dressed like I could play golf.
Okay.
So I dressed the part with my company. So I remember going with them, and this guy who somebody referred me to him. So I followed his group that were playing through all the holes in the golf tournament. So it was when they sat down later on to eat and food and drinks and just like looking at all these people. And then I just at some point was like, okay, I'm going to make it count because I rented a car and a driver. I went again. I was telling everyone, and they'll say, go take your car. You know how people are skeptical. Like, can you really do the thing? And then it was the last person where I was like, okay, I should just go. I've done my, I've tried. So let me just talk to this one person. And this last guy I spoke to, he was just like the opposite of Pandora's box. He was just, he was keen. It was like, yeah, you know, one of those people that they can almost see themselves in you, like a young person, like, yeah, I'll give you a try. We'll book this service.
Love it.
And literally, he was the one who was my first customer, and he referred me to my next 6 customers, and it was wild. And then even just because later on to do a private jet transaction was expensive. So then we partnered with an operator that had a smaller plane, and we could still use the private lounge. So it was cheaper. It was like a 10x cheaper. So people could almost try out the service before they make the big purchase. So he started off with that service, did it a few times, got his other friends to do it. And then that was when from there, people then used the service more. Then we then went to the big private jets. Like, oh, I'm going to this place where there's no scheduled flight. Can you organize it for me? But the big lesson I learned from all of that, besides selling and picking up the phone, was how, again, what we said on relationship at the start and soft skill, is how your whole business, you're designing, you're building for trust.
Yeah.
Like everything is, once you pass that trust barrier where people trust that, hey, you're going to do the thing you said you do, and you start seeing them refer other people, that is where it really starts to spin.
Network effects start happening.
That's where network effects starts happening.
I mean, first of all, amazing story and private jets. Wow, super niche. But I guess it makes sense because Nigeria, and there's a lot of
Nigeria and
wealthy
what?
people. There's a lot of wealthy people there, and
I think so. This was the
Yeah.
thing, because I got to learn a lot while I was in industry and actually meet these people. I then realized that a lot of times people glamorize private jets all over the world,
Yeah.
not just in Nigeria, but it was actually a business tool. It's only with a jet you can go to 4 cities in 4 countries in one day. Whereas at the time in aviation, where there'll be no flights, you'll see people have to almost, if I'm going from Nigeria to somewhere else in Africa, I have to almost go to Paris or something wild
Makes
and
sense.
connect back in. But with a jet, I could direct, there were no delays. You just had full control of your schedule. And
Yeah.
for a lot of the executives, you could work on the plane. Like you could literally work, rest, go to the bathroom, you have some of your... So that was an interesting insight, because then
Yeah.
I met other people who hadn't used it, who were like, oh yes, it's just a luxury thing.
interesting.
And then
Yeah.
maybe I had the opportunity. This is all coming to me now.
Good.
I had the opportunity to actually use the jet a few times.
Okay.
And it was
Okay.
a change. It was a change in mindset. Let me put it that way.
Really?
I got it. Like I got it. Like,
You
oh,
understood,
this
yeah.
is so different. All that queuing and waiting, and now people are calling me on the way to the airport that the plane is waiting for me. And what do I want? I have different food options.
Yeah.
And then one person, the steward, cabin crew, like making your food, and I was like, I should be doing this all the time.
Yeah.
So
Let's manifest this.
yeah. I
Let's
should.
manifest
So
this.
that was the aha.
Yeah.
And then once you've you've overcome the trust barrier with users, and then you've dogfooding startup, you've tried your own product. There's a way you sell as a believer, and that is just different.
Yeah.
And then maybe the icing on the story is a year later, I picked up golf.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, I picked up golf.
Private jets, golf.
I
they go
picked
hand in hand.
literally. I picked up golf. I had a teacher I was playing with for like a 9 months period. I went again to that same tournament, and I was one of them. Like I stayed
Love
there.
it.
So that was a whole new experience and a new culture and really
Amazing.
learning as the user. But yeah, that
I
was a
love
similar
it.
thing to what you said on just picking up the phone.
I can relate so much to everything you just said about you did all this work and you launched and then nothing happened.
Radio silence.
And I do feel like there is such a misconception with consumer goods brands these days, where there's this "I sold out" moment. And interestingly, I speak to a lot of founders who actually do that, and they're not wrong, but they only had like 5 units to start with, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's great. Like it's a great way to hype up your business. But I think for me now as a consumer goods founder, I found that very very discouraging in the beginning, because on the first day, and I think even for the first week, right? Like
Yeah.
when I launched, it was mostly friends of friends and family, which is already a huge achievement, who started buying Nuwa. And I think a lot of people think that, okay, just because you run ads, you're going to get thousands of buyers. Like,
Yeah.
no, people need trust before they buy into your brand. So, and you're talking about breaking the trust barrier, and I think that takes time, especially when it comes to health and wellness.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing that I wanted to bring up. And then the other thing was, you met this one person who then introduced you to the second, the third, the fourth. I mean, that's network effects, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do feel like these days in 2025, post-COVID world, it's all about in-person warm connections. And, that's the same for applying for jobs,
Yeah.
right? Business partnerships, even acquiring customers. It's all about who you know, and then, once I trust that my friend is taking this supplement, I'm going to take this supplement.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's super important to go back to basics
Yeah.
with this. Yeah.
God, just so many things in what you've just said. One of them is, I think, yes, it's who you know, and almost the trust barrier, designing for trust. And when you said, I was also thinking when you said the thing of human wellness is different.
Yeah.
I had a slightly different thing where people were like, if I get on this plane, how will I know it won't fall out of the sky?
True.
Who is the pilot? Where do you get
Yeah,
it from?
yeah.
Like
True.
a whole other,
Sorry, health and wellness and maybe like private jets. Yeah, you need a lot of trust.
a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
But then on the thing you said on people glamorizing, I got all these sales. something I realized as a theme is it's who you know. Two things. One is who you know, but then it's also people seeing you do the work. I think the more people see you out there doing the work, I don't want to say grinding, but doing the work, like putting out, it's kind of like when you asked me about my writing on, like putting
Showing
out something
up.
like part of almost the trust before the trust or the first impression before the first impression is that I see you doing the thing. It's kind of like how you've been putting out from day one on Instagram, like
Yeah.
showing that founder story. So people are feeling like, oh, so since you told me about it a year ago in Tech Nation, London Tech Week. I've seen you. This is what I'm doing. This is the brand bringing East Asia. Oh, I followed the journey. I felt like I followed the journey, and like
Thank
literally,
you.
I'm there. Oh, this is the design. Oh, this is who your intern is.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Oh,
Oh.
this is how you design the packaging. So
Exactly.
I think that's the thing before you meet the people, and then when you meet the people, you're prepared. Like luck, opportunity meets preparation, that kind of thing. And then
Yes.
on the second, that's the first point from what you said. I took away. The second
That's
thing
really
was
good.
how everyone here talks about the output, and this is what I've learned in my entrepreneurship journey so far. I think it's all about the journey. And like something I wrote at the end of an article I wrote a few months ago on Quincy Jones, a famous producer who produced for Michael Jackson and everybody, and Frank Sinatra, jazz producer. You have to go to know. You have
To
to
go to know.
you have to go to know. And even another statement as well, which I think is a Chinese proverb actually,
Yeah.
that the frog in the well knows nothing about the ocean. Where someone was asking this, it's come to me now.
Yes,
Where
yes.
they were asking this frog, and it's like, yeah, I've seen, but do you know the ocean? Like all the frog knows is the well, and then maybe the last one to tie up everything. The trifecta was you have to. I think it was the British explorer who said it. You have to set sail and watch the shore disappear to really go and find out, oh, the earth, the world is not flat, it's curved, and we don't all fall. You have to go to know. So I think for me, I always get that glamorizing things happen quickly, or even the other extreme,
Yeah.
glamorizing failure, like, oh, you have to. But I think
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur, and even what we said about doing what you love and doing what feels like play, is in the doing. It's in the doing you improve. It's in the doing you speak to more people, one more
Yes.
person. It's in the doing you say, oh, I could have done this better. It's in the doing. And it's I think we don't talk enough about the journey
Yes, the
and
process.
and enjoying every aspect of that journey. Like the highs,
Definitely.
the lows, the first week, like, oh my God, I made my first sale. Like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me money. It's in my-
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So I think from what you were saying, those are the two for me. Like one is really going to know and one is really putting out your work before you get the audience to pitch your work. Like people are seeing it
love
on
this.
LinkedIn, people are seeing it on Instagram. Put it the consistency, like putting out the stuff, or like and then the other one is really just the journey. Like okay, now you're doing it, now you're building the business. Like what do you do? 12 midnight on Friday night, your friends are going out, and you're just lonely in your room trying to figure this thing out.
Exactly. I have so much to say on this, and I love all these proverbs that you shared. And interestingly, the frog that lives in the well who hasn't seen the ocean, we have a very famous Chinese saying that is 井底之蛙, which is the frog that lives at the bottom of the well. And we use this as a saying to describe people who might be quite ignorant or people who haven't gone to experience things for themselves.
Yeah.
So, for example, if people are doing like putting out, I don't know, hate speech on
Yeah,
social media,
yeah.
then you say, okay, maybe 井底之蛙, because like they haven't been exposed to
Yeah.
different races or stuff like that. But anyway, for a different topic, and also the importance of experiencing things for yourself, not just learning it on paper. Because now starting a business, I understand how challenging it is to start from scratch and put yourself out there. It's not intuitive for me to like put myself out there and be like, hi guys, I'm the founder of Nuwa. Like it's nerve-wracking, to put yourself out there, to let the world see you in your half-polished state, whether
Yeah.
it's your product or your brand. And a lot of what I'm putting out there is super half-polished, right? Like, sure, my packaging, there's so many things I can improve on. My brand, yes, my, hex color codes can be tweaked.
Yeah.
Like there's so much I can tweak, and the perfectionist in me is like, I want people to see a polished version, but at the same time, I also want people to see the process.
Yeah.
And I guess it's also a bit strategic because nowadays it's all about founder-led marketing.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to see behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think that's because a lot of people, and I don't know what you think about this, but a lot of people have so many opinions about how to do business, but very few people actually do business,
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so easy, like, it's so easy for like that family friend to be like, what are you doing? Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should just expand into, Dubai and like you should change the
You should
color
get
of
into
this.
stores.
Oh, you should sell to this market. Like, why are you doing productivity supplements? You should do this. Everyone has an opinion, but people don't realize how difficult it is, when you are a small brand and I am my content creator, I am my
Yeah.
supply chain manager,
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
my CFO, my CEO, COO, CPO all at once. It's very hard to pivot so quickly. I don't have a team of 20. So yes, a lot of things have to be experienced. And but I love finally being in this position where, I don't just say I come from a background of venture building businesses. I actually have skin in the game.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
actually taking my savings to make
Oh.
poor decisions and good decisions, and I feel the pain of it. But it's good. I love the journey.
Okay. So the one comment I was gonna say on everything you just said about people fantasizing about building a business and everybody advising, I think two things I've learned because I've tried business and startup at different points is one, don't call it a business. A lot of times, once we call anything a business, there's all these expectations. For me, coming from engineering, I just always wanted to solve problems. So if business was the vehicle to solve problems, good. If writing a newsletter was the vehicle, if volunteering was the vehicle, for me, I was just curious about a problem and can I do something about it?
Yeah.
And I always had this theory in the world of not being just a consumer, but also being a producer and feeling like you can do something your own way. Even if I just go and research about the topic and write a nice article or record myself saying something, that was a big thing for me. Just focusing on solving problems. The second thing is a lot of the most popular companies, go and look at their first product. Off the top of my head, Nintendo was playing cards. Nokia was the shoe. Nike was the Chinese running shoes.
Right.
You should see Netflix, their first website.
Really?
It's really, yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we see the polished and we want the polished now, but it never ever started off polished. And when you see how interesting these products were from the start, it's like, I can even do better than this. So I think that reframing it in our minds, like, hey, I'm just solving a problem. It doesn't have to be a business where people want to put a limit or have a persona. I think that was a big change for me.
That's
so
great.
when I go into things, I go with a learning mindset that, hey, I don't know everything. I'm just going to start and keep improving and keep talking to people. So that's how I've kind of solved it. And it takes away the ego or the perfectionism where you feel like you have to be perfect to start, which was something one of my guests said last year, where he said done is better than perfect. Like doing the thing is better than waiting for it to be perfect to release.
That's really good.
Maybe my last question, which I wrote down because I wanted to get it right.
Yes.
What is the most rewarding aspect of building Nuwa from the ground up? Like, what has been the thing that is just, I didn't know this is possible. Like, what is it?
I have two things to share here. The first one is creating something that works, that people love. It's creating something that is a real product, a real physical product that has helped so many people. I have only launched 4.5 months ago, but I already have so many people reordering Nuwa, getting it every month. Some people buy 3 or 4 boxes at one go.
Wow.
And that is very reassuring for me because I know the product works. It's super high strength. And it's helping a lot of people like me who live very stressful, busy lives, cope better and have better work-life balance. So yes, I mean, creating something that works, that people love as well. I mean, they also love the brand. They love what it stands for. They love the mission. Then the second thing that has been so rewarding, which is a bit of an unusual one, I love mentoring and coaching people, and especially people who, maybe come from a very similar background to me. And one of the biggest joys of starting Nuwa has been launching all my internship programs.
Yeah.
It's only been 14 months, but I now have more than 7 people who have come to work with me on Nuwa.
Wow.
My first intern loved it so much, she introduced her best friend to work with me. Then her best friend introduced her other friend. Her friend introduced her classmates introduced their friends. And
Wow.
these are all the interns behind Nuwa. And interestingly, most of them have a background in biomedical sciences or psychology.
Wow.
And I just love working with them because they are so young, so hungry, and they want to make things happen. They're hungry. I just love working with hungry people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really rewarding watching them grow. And interestingly, most people ask me either about Nuwa the product or Nuwa the interns. So
Okay.
people love that. People love that I work with interns, and yeah, they've been amazing.
Oh,
Yes.
sounds like this internship program is the best. Where do I sign up?
You can send your CV
I'll send my
to
CV.
lin@hellonuwa.com.
Okay, maybe my
yes.
final question is, I'm
Yeah.
curious if you have one question for me.
One for you. A lot of people in corporate feel like they want to, they want to start a business, but they don't dare to take that next step. What is your advice to them?
Oh, I should have asked you that question. Okay, they want
Yeah.
to start a business, and they're afraid
They
to
don't
take
have
that
that
next step.
courage to.
I think the main thing is, like we said, don't call it a business. I think find a problem and fall in love with the problem. Find about
Yeah.
something you care about and care even deeper, and then just take one step. Just try one thing. Find the people who have the problem. Talk to them. Like, aim to be the experts in the thing. You may not know the perfect solution, but you can start off knowing the most about the problem. I think that is really important. And show your work.
Yeah.
Show your work in terms of, I'm excited about this program. I'm writing about it. I'm building a website. I'm interviewing. I'm doing a podcast. Just take the first step.
Yeah.
A lot happens once you learn about the thing, take the first step, and then you put your work out. It's kind of like the whole tech product market fit. And I think that's mainly because you then get feedback. I think the whole thing of Lin is you can quickly get feedback and improve. You can quickly feedback and know what is priority. This is what I should focus on. And then you try out a solution, even if it's basic, and you get a community of people who are interested. And maybe finally, I like the whole thing, the famous Y Combinator. They always say where it's better to have 100 people love your product than 1,000 people who kind of like it. Those 100 people who show interest in your friend group, your network, through LinkedIn, they would help you co-create the product.
Yeah.
Or co-create the solution. And I think, going back to what we said of the journey, that co-creation, that taking the first step, getting some kind of feedback, and co-creating with a group, with a community, like you're doing with Nuwa, I think that's something we don't talk about enough.
Definitely.
That everything happens when you take the first step, when you make that first phone call, where you just say, hey, I'm going to research more about this product. And once they do that, everything always comes together.
You build momentum, and that's how you keep it going.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lin, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation.
Yes.
I'm curious, where can our subscribers, where can our people who are listening to this podcast, who are busy in their careers and they really need Nuwa to give them that energy, take away the brain fogginess, how can they find out about Nuwa?
Yes. So we are Nuwa, a wellness brand that has just launched in the UK, and you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Hello Nuwa.
Okay.
So that's at Hello Nuwa, and you can also go to our website at hellonuwa.com.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, Lin, thank you for being here. Thank you for this
you.
fantastic conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This has been an incredible experience. What I would say is keep taking risk, keep taking calculated risks, keep chasing your journey, and enjoy the highs, the lows, and
Take that first step.
take that first step. And maybe the last line I would say is the best is yet to come. And that is it for me, Emperor Nero and the Nero Experience, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. It's a wrap. Yes.
I feel like we covered so much.
Oh my God, we're just like,
I feel like we covered. I'm looking forward to
we
seeing
2
this.
hours.
I feel like we covered like 5 years worth of stuff.
Yeah.
In
Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana.